This video is about how to place your thermostat and your probe for racks or just for using it with a heat mat. So as you can see here, I've got this tall rack. There are 8 levels, and so the bottom 4 levels are on one thermostat and the next 4 levels are on the other because heat rises. So one is set at about 96 degrees and the other is set at 92, but I don't want it to get above really 84 to 86 inside of the bins. So let's take a look at how we do this. So one of the probes is behind Miss Tangerine here. She is in her lay box, so I'm not gonna pester her too much. Let's go ahead and take this out. I know she's not gonna escape because she's in there. Okay. So what I've done down here is I have the probe underneath the mat. There's still plenty of airflow around it, and then I have it taped up good on that side. So the probe is touching the mat is touching the tub. You can have a little bit of space between the mat and the tub, but usually your mat is pretty much touching the tub. This one here does have an open back on this rack that I made. There is another rack, this one over here, that I was having get too cold. It wasn't maintaining enough temperature, so I did put a back on that one. This particular first rack that I just showed, if it is wintertime or it's cold outside, obviously I'm closing that window. I've got heavy curtains on it, and I will sometimes throw a blanket or some sort of thermal barrier on the back of that one. But back here, I do have a solid back on this one, and it's the same thing. The tape is down there. It's just underneath the tubs. They're pretty much sitting on the tape, not completely. Hi, watermelon. And then that probe is touching the tape, and then the racks are, the tubs are on there. This one here is a little bit different because each one of these is on a separate mat, but it is the same kind of thing. I don't know which level has my probe on it here, but I do have one where the probe itself is touching the mat, and then I just drilled a groove in the wood. So there's like a little slot back here where I drilled a hole down into the wood. I slid the probe into that hole, so the probe is underneath it and touching the mat, and then this is on top of it. This one over here, on this one, there is a probe. The heat mat is on the back wall because that's usually how it is for baby racks. And the temp, which you can see here, 94 degrees, and it keeps around 86 to 88 in the baby rack. That probe is taped right up against the mat that's on the back of that. For these ones here, there's the probe. So it's in the back. It is directly on the heat panel. And then I take the temperature inside of the tubs. So when I'm taking temperature inside of the tubs, I use one of these. I know Amaretto's not going to jump out at me. So when I like to, hey Amaretto, when I take the temperature, I try to match it kind of into the hide. So we're a little bit on the high end here, but we're around 86. You can try to get it right on the substrate there. It's a little higher. Usually when I take a temperature, I'm trying to get it down into there. And then when we're on this side, you can see it's more like high 70s. So that's the temperature gradient for Miss Amaretto. Let me know if you have any questions.